Here we go, guys. I am debuting my new Thursday night football series on Athlete Podcast Network. It's your boy, Justin Pugh. You might know me from Net Worth. You might know me from playing in the NFL. You might know me from doing a one-on-one with my cousin in the beach that went viral the last week. But we're kicking off a new series, so let me give you a little insight on what it is. The reason we're doing this is I'm trying to find the best fan base in the NFL. I've been playing on the field. I haven't been up in the stands, but now I'm taking my talents into the seats. And we're starting this Thursday night with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll be ranking my experience, city, food, fans, stadium, everything to find the best fans in the NFL. So if you want to follow along on this journey, hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things you do best, and drop your favorite team in the comments below. Every team plays on Thursday Night Football, so I will get to every team eventually. But let me know who you're rooting for. I'm excited because leading up to my trip for Kansas City, I want to do a little preview. I'm bringing on two of the biggest content creators in the space, super fans. And from the Chiefs, we got my boy Cole. How about those Chiefs? And then a man after my own heart, we got another Justin on the show. We got Engravens representing the Baltimore Ravens. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. Appreciate you having us.
It got a little bit tough. Cole is like the president of Chiefs Nation, man. So he's got a lot of content he's putting out there. But Cole, thanks for coming on.
You're crazy, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm honored to be here. I did start a second channel covering NFL news, so I've been kind of drowning, just hired a new editor. So that's why I was a bit slow to respond, but we here, let's go.
No, we appreciate it. You guys put out some amazing content. And the one thing that we started on my channel is going directly to the fans, people that eat, live, breathe it every single day. No one knows the teams better than you guys. So let's start with these teams and kind of start where we finished last year. Cole's going to be smiling. Justin's going to be a little sad. Cole, you're going to go second. Justin, let's start with you. Let's do a quick recap. Obviously, I'm talking about the AFC Championship game last year. The Chiefs come into Baltimore. Raucous environment. Baltimore, I played there a bunch of times. It's a weird game. 17-10. Chiefs win. They go on to repeat. We know how it goes. Justin, from your perspective, what happened in that game? What went wrong?
The Baltimore Ravens last year, they were the best team in the NFL. They had a really good offense. They had the Triple Crown, best defense in the league. And during the regular season, they were steamrolling teams, and not just bad teams. They were steamrolling good teams too, playoff teams as well. They went on a nice little streak to end the year. Closed out with just blowing out the 49ers, the Dolphins. They were doing their thing. And then in the first playoff game that they played, because they had the bye week, they played the Texans, started off slow. It ended up being 10-10 at halftime, but then they got rolling through the air, through the ground. They were doing their thing, and they ended up beating the Texans. But then it just felt like everything that could have happened, everything that should have happened for the Baltimore Ravens last season, it felt like it was happening. It felt like, oh, man, this thing is going sweet. We got home field advantage. Every single obstacle that the Baltimore Ravens needed to get over and needed to accomplish, they did it. And now we got home field advantage against the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, yeah, let's make it happen. So then we got to the game, and the Baltimore Ravens decided to do something that has been sort of their Achilles heel at the very, very worst moments and the very biggest moments. They decided to directly do everything against what their identity is. The Baltimore Ravens last year, they were the number one rushing team in the league by far. Back in 2019, they were the number one rushing team in the league by far. What happened in 2019 was the same exact thing that happened in 2023. They decided, you know what? No, we're going to go directly against the run. We're just going to pass heavy. And what made it worse, especially last year, the Chiefs, their run defense, it wasn't really good. And I think that the previous week against the Buffalo Bills, they ran for almost like 200 yards against the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're thinking like, oh yeah, this is right up the Ravens' alley. This is a perfect setup. And we at the crib too. We're at M&T Bank Stadium. Oh yeah. But the Baltimore Ravens did everything but that. And they really made the game harder on themselves. And then you got to give credit to the Kansas City Chiefs too. Kansas City Chiefs, they came into Baltimore, came into enemy territory, and they did exactly what they had to do. I mean, you saw the connection between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce is perfect. Like Kyle Hamilton was literally draped all over Travis Kelce. Didn't give him an inch of room, but Kelce was still making plays. So Chiefs did their thing, but the Ravens, they just made life so much harder for themselves by not focusing on what their identity was. and they end up losing.
Well, Justin, I had to let you vent a little bit there, and me and Cole just sat back and let you get that all off your chest because you guys had the NFL's MVP, the best defense in football. You guys were the bullies, and the Chiefs are coming in, and the Chiefs felt like they limped through last season. There was times, Cole, where I'm sure you were like, ooh, we had just won the Super Bowl. Is this the same team? We don't have the same star power. They got in the playoffs, and they flipped a switch that I've never seen an NFL team do. Patrick Mahomes, I think, last year was the best performance by a quarterback ever in NFL history in terms of like how much of the cap he was making and how much money was spent at his position to carry that team. It really felt like he willed that team to victory. It was an unbelievable season. It was great to watch. How was it from your perspective? Hey, going on the road in the AFC, you guys weren't used to doing any of that and still coming out on top. You're still probably smiling right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very stressful season. The offense was anemic at times, carried by the defense for the first time really in the Mahomes era. I mean, bunch of dogs back there. Shout out to Spags. Snead, who's not there anymore. He's with the Titans. Willie Gay, who's now with the Saints. But you got a bunch of the core pieces back this year. But yeah, last year, it was a very different style of watching the Chiefs. It was watching Patrick Mahomes and company willingly settle for 3 points because they knew if they could just get up by enough, the defense was going to hold. And I think if we're just specifically talking AFC Championship, by the time the Chiefs got there, I mean, you beat the Dolphins at Arrowhead. That was a really cold game, a really weird one. Then we beat the Bills. That was great. First road playoff victory for Mahomes in his career. And we're going in to play the Ravens, man, and they were all they were advertised to be. They were great. So it was a kind of a nerve-wracking like lead up to the game. What kind of Chiefs offense are you going to get in this game? And honestly, the first half looked good. They were up, I think 17. They had 17 points at one time and were at least up by a score. And I think that's where I don't know why, but the Ravens just kind of, they went away from their identity and running the ball, I guess, because they were behind a little bit, but I thank you for that. The Chiefs were doing some things to stop it. Spags was just being kind of crazy, blitzing people from everywhere and trying to confuse Lamar. And I think it worked at times. He did throw into triple coverage at one point for an INT. I don't know what the read was there, but yeah, there were some plays that just made the game so close. You think of Snead punching the ball out at the half yard line on Flowers. I mean, that turns a touchdown into a touchback, which I could relate to the pain because McCole Hardman the game prior fumbled on a jet sweep for a touchback when the Chiefs were like at the 2 yard line. So I can relate to that, the pain. And we made it past the Ravens. I was definitely afraid of their defense, man. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this year's team. I think their defense is still great. They have some pieces missing, some coaches missing, but yeah, overall it was a great win and we're on to the Super Bowl. And then that was another stressful game. And the Chiefs won back to back. It was great. But yeah, that was a stressful season for Chiefs fans. You start 7-2 and then you're down. I mean, you lose like 4 games shortly after that in a row, or not in a row, but like in a short span. And I was after the Raiders game on Christmas. I was like, wow, this is actually insane.
You guys don't know stressful. I grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan when they never won a Super Bowl. And then I went to the New York Giants in the last 10 years. I've been on the New York Giants and then Arizona Cardinals. So I know stress, gentlemen. You guys at least have seen some very quality regular seasons. But the one question that I have is, how tough it is to go into any enemy environment and make that happen. I really think Steve Spagnuolo, former head coach of mine in New York, was the MVP of that game. To slow down Lamar Jackson in that offense is truly an unthinkable task. And for the Ravens, you guys shut out the Chiefs in the second half, and to not be able to come back, it just shows a testament to how weird of a season, but how amazing that defense played for Kansas City. So now looking forward, we're done talking about the past. We let go of those wounds and look, you got to go out and prove it again if you're the Chiefs fans. I really want to dive into like what makes the Chiefs so great to start, Justin. So let me let Cole bask in this for a little bit more. You guys are a team that always addresses your weaknesses. You go to Tampa Bay, you lose to them in the Super Bowl, and their defensive line was just having a field day against the offensive line. What does Brett Veach and company do the following offseason? Goes get a bunch of offensive linemen. Last year, you had struggles at the wide receiver position. What did he do this offseason? I'm going to go get the fastest wide receivers. We're going to bring in Tyreek Hill 2.0 and run this thing right now and just be able to run all over people. Not run all over, run past people. How confident are you going into this season about the three-peat? Do you even say three-peat when you're walking around Kansas City right now?
Nah, I think it would be great. I think the Chiefs are one of the favorites to maybe get back to the big game or get close. It's very hard to get there. Very happy, but just what Mahomes and everybody's been saying in all the pressers this week. It's a new year, new season, new teams. You just got to lock back in. So yeah, I think the odds are okay. Like in the Chiefs' favor to make another deep playoff run. And they did reload on offense. They are better on offense for sure. Drafted Worthy in the first round, traded up to go get him. They signed Hollywood Brown. They still have Kelsey. Rashee Rice is probably the sleeper in the wide receiver room of them all. He was arguably the best receiver at training camp, just feasting over the middle of the field heading into year 2. Now the suspension thing that's looming, I don't know that it's likely to happen at this point in time, at least not to start the season. We'll see later down the road.
Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, sorry about that, man. But they'll let the process play out and then it'll happen. They did pick up Juju late. You've got McCole Hardman. You got Justin Watson, who was 3rd in receiving yards last year, kind of a sneaky guy. Juju, when he gets acclimated, he'll feast in the middle of the field as well. I think it's a good depth piece there to give Kelsey some rest, maybe even. Then obviously, if I didn't say Kelsey, you've got tight end 1 in the NFL. And people argue that. They'll say it's somebody else or he's top 3. It don't matter. From a receiving standpoint, for sure, he is tight end 1 or wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs, even from a production standpoint over the last X amount of years. I mean, since he's been in the league since 2013. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I think that if I would tip the scales, I would say like Chiefs offense, they were 15th in the NFL last year in points scored per game, which is wild. I think they'll be back in theory, top 5, top 10 for sure. The defense might take a slight step back. They got a lot of returning pieces. Snead is gone though, and they are still looking for that CB2. Nobody's really won that spot yet. That's my concern there for defense, a little bit along the D line, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I feel good. They definitely retooled. I know you didn't ask about the defense yet, but the defense is looking similar. The offense is retooled. Pacheco, I'm excited for him year 2. Yeah. So yeah, definitely excited.
Well, Justin and the Ravens, you guys also have a lot to look forward to. I mean, Cole, you guys definitely are. If last year you could win a Super Bowl, for sure this year. Justin, the Ravens took a little bit of a different approach this year. They were already great at running the ball. You had J.K. Dobbins, you had Gus Edwards. I know that those aren't like Derrick Henry, but they had a good 1-2 punch with Lamar. You guys let a lot of offensive linemen walk in free agency. You let Morgan Moses go. You let Simpson go. So how do you feel about the Ravens offseason, and how confident are you going into this season?
It's weird because I feel a little bit not scared, just concerned about the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. There's 2 significant pieces to the Baltimore Ravens that could take a little bit of time to really get it going this year. I mean, hopefully they just knock it right out the park from jump in week 1, but it could take a bit of time. And one of those is the offensive line, like you mentioned, especially being an offensive line specialist. They traded Morgan Moses. They let John Simpson go, and then they didn't re-sign Kevin Zeitler. So that's 3 starters on the offensive line that are gone. So now starting in those positions at left guard is expected to be Andrew Voorhees, who didn't play all last year because he was hurt. So basically a rookie. And then at right guard, it's supposed to be Daniel Falele, who last year, or for the past couple of years, he's been a right tackle. He's been a sort of rotational right tackle. So this will be a new position for him as well. And then at right tackle, it may be Patrick McCarry, or it could be a rookie second-round pick, Roger Rosengarten. So we'll see. But Baltimore Ravens offensive line is going to be brand new. And with a brand new offensive line, as you know, it's going to take some time to click. It's going to take some time to build some rapport and build some chemistry. And when you have an MVP quarterback back there, you don't really have all the time in the world to really be building chemistry like that. You want to get that thing going right away. And then when you have a Derrick Henry, you didn't add Derrick Henry for no reason this year. You added Derrick Henry because you wanted a running back that had a nicer resume that would command respect. So in order for Derrick Henry to get going, because as we know with Derrick Henry, he's not one of those running backs where You just give him 10 to 12 carries a game to where he's really sharing the workload with the other running backs, where it's running back by committee. That's going to be something different too, because for the longest, Ravens have been doing running back by committee. But now you got somebody who needs like 20, 30 carries a game to really, really get going, because he's somebody that the more carries he gets, the stronger he gets, the better he gets. So if you have somebody like that behind an offensive line, that is a lot of unknowns right now. So that's a big concern. Now, on the flip side, speaking about the Ravens defense, like Cole mentioned, we do have a coach that left, and that was Mike McDonald. That was Ravens defensive coordinator for the past couple of years, and he was amazing. He was even somebody that a lot of us expected to take over for whenever that time comes when John Harbaugh decides to retire. But he went to the Seattle Seahawks, so now we have Zach Orr, who's going to be the Ravens defensive coordinator. Something that I've been telling people with Zach Orr is the same thing that happened with Mike McDonald. We obviously want immediate results. We want things to be looking good from the very, very beginning. But it doesn't always happen like that, especially when it's new people in different positions. And in this case, with a new defensive coordinator, it could take him a little bit to really get acclimated, to really get the most out of his players, to really put his players in the best position to have success. Because I remember, if we go back to Mike McDonald 2 years ago, his first couple of games, it was rough. It was really, really rough. I remember there was one game in particular where we were playing the Miami Dolphins, and he put a rookie cornerback on Tyreek Hill with the game on the line, one-on-one, no safety help over the top or nothing. So we all and Tyreek Hill, of course, scored. So we all looking like, man, is this going to be how our defense is looking? But then it just took him a little bit, and then he became one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So with Zach Orr, it's one of those things where it could just take some time for him to really, really get this thing right. Hopefully it doesn't take too much time, but it could take a little bit, just so we can see what sort of adjustments he likes to make, what sort of defense he likes to play, and so on and so forth. So with those are some big questions of concern that I have with the Baltimore Ravens, but they'll get figured out. But I am very confident as a Baltimore Ravens team this year. They're a team that has shown year in, year out under Lamar Jackson, when he plays, they win. But the thing that we got to fix, that where a lot of Baltimore Ravens heads are at right now, it's like, look, regular season is cool. Regular season is great. And we care about the regular season, because in order to get to the playoffs, you got to do good enough in the regular season. But where so many Ravens fans are at right now, it's like, all right, regular season, it is what it is, but playoffs, that's what we need to see. That same regular season team that we see for the most part, because they win a lot of games in the regular season, have a lot of success in the regular season. We need to see that in the playoffs. And I think the biggest difference maker with the Baltimore Ravens this year is Derrick Henry. Something with the Baltimore Ravens for years under the Lamar Jackson era that they have not had for the most part is a running back that they really invested in. They've had J.K. Dobbins. They've had Gus Edwards, like you mentioned. They had Keaton Mitchell last year. They've had guys like Justice Hill. But the last running back that they really invested in was Mark Ingram. And they signed him back in 2019. But in that playoff game where they also decided they didn't want to run the ball, he was hurt, so he didn't even play. And then last year, Keaton Mitchell, he came out of nowhere, undrafted rookie free agent. He was killing it, but then he got hurt in like week 15, 16, and he was out for the rest of the year. So then in the playoffs last year, they just, again, they did not have any running backs that they were truly invested in. But now you have Derrick Henry. So you have a running back that is respected around the league. He's done plenty of dirty work and damage to the Baltimore Ravens. And he has either his first or second highest average per carry against the Chiefs. So he's familiar with them too. So you have no choice but to use him. You have no choice but to feature him. You brought him in for a reason. Now it's time to make that happen.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, but it's almost like, and you're going to take us the wrong way because it's kind of offensive. It's a little bit what I'm hearing from the Dallas Cowboy fans. It's like, hey, every regular season we're doing great. Then we get to the playoffs and we can't win that big game. The Chiefs are almost on the opposite end of the conversation. They're like, hey, just get us into the playoffs. We don't even care. We go on the road. A question I have for you, Cole, are you nervous about a Super Bowl hangover? You know, Travis Kelce's out touring the world with Taylor Swift, living a billionaire lifestyle. Like he signed $100 million deals with Amazon. Like this football money is kind of just chump change to him now. It's like it's almost like side hustle is football when like all the showmanship and all that. Patrick Mahomes now has just become an international superstar. Chris Jones. I mean, you have probably the 3 top 5 players in the NFL, all number 1 at their position. I mean, Mark Andrews is up there too. Don't let me get you wrong, but Kelsey's put is there a little nervousness about you that there could be a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover?
I'm gonna sound so spoiled as a Chiefs fan. I think it's just because they've been 4 in the last 5. I don't think so. I mean, it's just like we've seen him go, and then every year the media does the thing. Oh, the offseason distractions. Last year it was Taylor Swift. Like Kelsey's not going to be focused. Like he dealt with injuries, but like when it mattered and he rested week 18 and then showed up in the playoffs, he went on a burner. I mean, you saw his stats in the AFC Championship.
Dog.
I mean, he had a freaking great game, man. So I'm not overly concerned. I think it's just more, week 1's here, and then you just got to hit the ground running and take it a week at a time. They have had historically a shorter offseason than most teams over the last 6-7 years. I mean, they're doing the deep playoff runs, making it to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you've got less time. You're then doing the rounds. They didn't do it around the COVID year because of everything going on, but they were doing the rounds, doing the tours, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, they've had shorter off seasons, but I'm not worried about a hangover right now. No.
Just veterans, man. They know how to get it done after winning a Super Bowl. All right, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hop into some comparisons. We're going to do like, O-line versus D-line, things of that nature. And you guys give me who has the edge. But first, we have to start with the fan bases. Who has the edge in the fan bases? Give me your case as to why. I know you're both going to choose your own, but give me a little bit of background on as to why. You're both very spoiled fan bases. You've had a lot of success the last 10 years. Justin, I'll go with you. Why are the Ravens the best fan base in the NFL?
Ravens are get it out the mud type of fan base. They're a fan base that's real gritty, real just grinding, man. Just like the team, where we're not a very conventional fan base, but neither are the Baltimore Ravens. We do things a little bit differently. Ravens fans are very, very passionate. They don't play around about them Ravens. You talk about any Ravens playing the wrong way, they'll look at you sideways and give you an earful. But Ravens, they really just resemble what the Baltimore Ravens team does as well.
I just think bullies when I think of the Baltimore Ravens. Going back to 2001, like they just punch you in the mouth. I think it's the best division in football, and I get a little scared that this division might beat up on each other a little bit too much this year. But I'm excited. I think the Ravens, you said, play the Bengals, so I will be getting out there to Baltimore at some point. Cole?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I'm born and raised in Kansas City, but even back way before Mahomes, you had John Elway at the stadium in the 90s asking the ref if he can please quiet the crowd down. The ref's threatening the fans. If they don't, they're going to be charged a timeout. Like, they have the loudest stadium in the world, 142.2 decibels. It's rocking. Chiefs fans will show up whether it's burning hot or, as we saw in the playoff game last year, it's the 3rd coldest game in NFL history. We don't really care. So, I mean, I'm biased, of course, but best fan base in the NFL. Proof is people showing up to the games and just being crazy for the team.
I will say the one thing I will give the Chiefs, didn't they have a guy that was robbing banks to make it to games? Like, wasn't the Chiefs a holic guy? Like,
that's how dedicated we are, man.
I'm excited to get out there, man. I will say we're going to Joe's barbecue. I'm going to be geared up and some Chiefs fan when we go. I'll get into that later on in the segment, but I want to really feel what it's like to be a Chiefs fan. I'll get to Baltimore. We're going to be doing it. All right. First matchup we got to talk about is barbecue versus crab cakes. Who's got the better food?
Barbecue versus crab cakes. I will feel wrong answering this because if it's me, I'm going barbecue, like straight up. I'm going barbecue all day, every day over crab cakes.
I'm with you. Cole?
I mean, I'm going barbecue. Kansas City barbecue. When you said you're going to Joe's, I'm like, that's the spot too. There's a bunch here, but yeah, Kansas City is known for
crazy. I asked the fans; they want nuts.
Oh yeah, they'll argue. Yeah, they'll fight over the best barbecue restaurant, actually. So I'm going barbecue for sure.
Okay, perfect. All right, now we've got a couple fun ones out of the way. Let's get into head coaches. This is a tough one. Now, I grew up in Philadelphia, grew up an Andy Reid guy. Harbaugh was on the staff. I'm giving a slight edge to Andy just because Harbaugh came from that tree, but Harbaugh has taken it and made it his own in Baltimore. He's established his own tree. Coaching matchup. Just as quick as you guys can. I know we got a time crunch here.
No, that's definitely Andy Reid. That's without a doubt, without a question, that's definitely Andy Reid. Harbaugh is a really, really good coach, but when he goes against Andy Reid, I mean, we've seen it so many times in the recent Ravens and Chiefs games. Ravens just have been getting out coached, like straight up. They've been getting out coached. So yeah, that's Andy Reid all day.
Yeah, he's one of the best to ever do it. You can't. We can just move on. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but dude, he's great.
And then you add Spagnuolo.
Shout out to Harbaugh, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Harbaugh, though. Like, he's a great coach. You could argue, I don't know where you want to put him in the NFL right now,
top
active,
five,
but he's
right?
up there.
Top five in the league.
Top 10. I mean, he's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, then you throw in Spags. So the whole coaching, I think, has to lean back to the Chiefs. All right, next up, quarterbacks. Who's got the better quarterback? I mean, rings speak, I think, here. But if you were going to have Patrick at 1, in my opinion, Lamar has got to be 2. Justin, is there any other argument? I think we all can agree on that one.
Yeah, I can't. Patrick Mahomes, self-explanatory. He's just amazing. Now, Lamar is amazing as well. But Patrick Mahomes, he has both the individual success and also the team success. And he's not one of the quarterbacks where they win in spite of him, but they win because of him. So yeah, you got to give that edge to Patrick Mahomes.
All right, now we got one. I got one for you, Justin. I'm talking. You got barbecue. They got Andy. They got quarterback. Now we go running back. Who's got the edge at running back?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's Derrick Henry, a future Hall of Famer. Now Isaiah Pacheco, nice, and I like him because he's a physical running back too. But I got to go with Derrick Henry over all the Chiefs running backs, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire too. But yeah,
well, he's out. He's out right now. He got hurt.
4 games. Yeah.
Yeah, Cole. Derrick Henry. I mean, I love Pacheco. His story is crazy. Went through a lot of adversity, lost multiple siblings to violence. 7th round pick, really outplayed his draft projection, his stock. But yeah, Derrick Henry is one of the best to ever do it, man. So shout out to him. He's built like a refrigerator too. Like I don't even 6'4", 240 or whatever it is. Like that's insane. And I don't like playing the guy. You said it earlier. He has some great games against the Chiefs. So yeah, I don't like that guy.
That's going to be definitely a key for success. I'm going to run the table on that one, Derrick Henry. All right, offensive line. I also think this one's a Kansas City Chiefs sweep. Even though they're starting a rookie at left tackle, I think Ronnie Stanley's better left tackle, but I think the other 4 positions, Linderbaum is probably one of the best centers, and so is Creed. It's kind of a toss-up, but overall, I will say I think Chiefs got it because Trey Smith is just an unbelievable right guard, going to get paid this offseason. What are your guys' thoughts? Justin, I'll go first.
Like I was talking about earlier with the Baltimore Ravens on the offensive line, it's just so much unknown. Yeah. So yeah, you got to give it to the Chiefs on this one.
Okay.
That's tough because you guys are in a rebuild. If you would have said who's got a better O-line after Super Bowl 55, like before the Chiefs made moves, now you've got Tooney, best pass blocking guard the last 3 years from a great, per PFF. Creed, he's paid the highest center in the NFL. If you want to argue he's 2 or something, okay, but since Kelsey retired, he's up there. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs on this one. I mean, best interior trio probably in the NFL. I think the Chiefs know as long as you protect Patrick Mahomes, you can give him some weapons, but like he can pretty much make it happen when it matters. And we saw that last year in the playoffs with the offense that they had.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to go receiving core. I'm going to I'm going to group the tight ends in just to throw them all into one. Receiving core. Who do we got here? Good. It's tough because if you go Kelsey as 1,
in there too.
Andrews has always been 2. He's been hurt. I don't think maybe Laporta's kind of getting in there, but like Andrews is still a top 5 tight end in this league. Odell Beckham walks. I know he's not Odell Beckham of old. Zay Flowers. It's a young receiving core. I'll tell you that. Chiefs bring in Hollywood, add some speed. You draft Xavier Worthy.
With the tight ends too.
Well, when you bring in Kelsey and Andrews, I think that might give. Because I like Zay Flowers, I think, better than Rashee Rice. If I had to go one-on-one, I think Zay Flowers is really looking like he could be a certified problem out there. Rashad Bateman, deep threat. What do you? This is kind of a toss-up, in my opinion, but I'll let you guys argue this one out.
Now, this was tougher for me because Mark Andrews is amazing. Obviously, Kelsey tight end 1. Mark Andrews is up there. You can put him at 2, 3, somewhere up there. But Isaiah Likely. He's really, really nice too. And we got to see that last year when Mark Andrews was out. So with the tight ends combined, I will give the Ravens that. But then you have with receivers too. Zay Flowers. But after Zay Flowers, there's a lot of question marks at receiver. You have Rashad Bateman, first round pick, but there's a lot of unknown on him. He's a potential base player because we haven't seen him reach his potential yet. We have Nelson Aguilar as well. We pretty much know what you're getting out of Nelson Aguilar. You have Tez Walker, who's a rookie. You have Tylan Wallace, who hasn't had much time at receiver. He's been primarily like a special teams player. That's Ravens receiver group is a lot of unknowns there. Chiefs, you talked about Rashee Rice. He was nice last year. Travis Kelce, best tight end in the league. Then you got my old guy, our old guy, Hollywood. I know he's not playing in week 1, but I really like Hollywood. That was my guy, man. Another deep threat. Xavier Worthy. So far, so good. Not proven yet in the NFL. We'll see how he does. I'm sure he'll make plenty of plays for y'all, though. This is... I don't know, man. I don't know who I would give the edge.
Let Cole go, and then we'll decide. We'll make a decision here.
Yeah, I mean, this year I would probably tip it in favor of the Chiefs. And also, you just look at the offenses and how they're built. The Ravens don't need a star-studded wide receiver room. They don't. They've got Andrews. He's solid. They have Flowers. They've got some guys. But when you're such a powerful run-heavy team and you've got Derrick Henry, you've got Lamar doing RPOs off of that and all kinds of crazy stuff, I don't know that you need... I mean, you've got some dogs, but I think you're fine with... I mean, I feel good about your room with where you are. I mean, maybe you could have got one more guy in free agency or something, but this year, the way that the Chiefs focused on that retooling, I'm going to give it to them, combining that with the tight end room. Kelce, they drafted Jared Wiley in the 4th round. We'll see what happens with him his rookie year, but I'm going to give it to the Chiefs this year for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to they make a living out of throwing the football. The Ravens are going to be running the football. But I do like, if we want 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, I like what the Ravens are putting on the field, throwing in Isaiah Likely. The Chiefs really are never going to get in 12 and do anything. They're going to be more in 11 personnel. That's 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. So I think it's a little bit just schematically, it's a tough conversation to have.
That's a good point.
But I think because of Patrick Mahomes too, he makes those receivers a whole lot better as well. Just like Lamar in the run game makes teams play 11 on 11 because he can always keep it and run with it. All right. So now we're going to the defensive side of the ball. D-line. This is a tough one because Chris Jones versus Justin Madubuike is such a tough conversation. You have Roquan Smith, the defensive backs, I think, in Baltimore. Let's just go. We're going to go D-line. I'm not going to bring everybody into the equation.
Okay. So defensive line, based off of consistency, I got to give it to the Chiefs with Chris Jones because he's been one of the best for years. Justin Madubuike, he came out last year. He was one of the best last year. But he's been consistently building himself up, but he hasn't consistently been one of the best because he just hasn't had the opportunity. Last year, he got his opportunity, did his thing, got paid for it, but Chris Jones has been doing this for years. So I'll give that to them.
Yeah, I have a little bit of concerns about the Chiefs D-line. I think maybe I'm just spoiled as a Chiefs fan, but as far as depth goes, but once Minihue returns, as long as his knee looks good after the bye week, I mean, I'll feel really good about them again. I think they're just kind of hanging on in some regard there. As far as depth goes, you've got Karlaftis. He was the first non-Chris Jones defender to get more than 10 sacks since D Ford in 2018. So good. Yeah, I like the Chiefs D-line, but much respect to the Ravens as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I think I just got to give the edge to the... Man, that's a tough one. This one's 50-50. I could go either way because you get paid for what you're going to do, not what you have done. And Justin Madubuike is a problem. Yep. I hate the Clowney loss. I hate... Oh, yes. Yep. Clowney made some... And Kyle Van Noy came straight off the couch like your boy over here and made a lot of plays. So I'm going to give it to the Chiefs just because I think Chris Jones, until you knock the king off the throne, we're going to go there. Secondary, I'm going Ravens all day long on that one, even because after you lose L'Jarius Sneed, I think that kind of hurts the Chiefs right there. Yeah, well, secondary, definitely. With Kyle
That's where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah, he could do everything. You got Marcus Williams, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, who had an amazing year last year. And then they reloaded. They drafted Nate Wiggins in the first round. They drafted TJ Tambo, who can play at different spots in the 4th round. So, yeah, Ravens got a lot of depth. They still have guys like Arthur Millette. He'll be out for a little bit. They got Ardarius Washington. They have a lot of depth, a quality depth, too, in the secondary. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know I kept you guys a little bit longer than I wanted to. Linebacker, We'll get there another day. I mean, I think that's a close one too. But let's get to the game. Give me your guys' prediction. Who wins it and how? If I was going based on this conversation, I didn't know anything about football, I would be leaning more towards the Chiefs, Justin. You didn't really you gave me a lot more questions to think about. Like, hey, we got to worry about this, the offensive line, the coaches. We may be slow out of the gate, but final pitch, convince me why the Ravens are going to win this game. Or if you don't think so, why is that?
You know what's crazy? After our whole conversation that we had today, and like you said, if you ain't know nothing about football, it would sound like I would be picking the Chiefs to win this game too. But I'm actually going with the Baltimore Ravens. Reason being, I feel like the Baltimore Ravens, they just have so much more to prove. It's almost, not that it's a good thing, because I obviously wish the game would have went differently, but it's a good thing that the last game that they played, the last meaningful game that they played was the AFC Championship game against this, not necessarily the same team, but against the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Ravens coming out there with a lot more to prove. They're not going to want this game hanging over their head. The AFC Championship game was already hanging over their head for the longest. They're not going to want this week 1 game against the Chiefs to be hanging over their head. And I feel like the Chiefs, they don't really have anything to prove. Not that they're not going to want to come out and win, because obviously they're going to want to come out and win because they want to get closer to a 3-peat. But it's up to the Ravens to really slow that down. Derrick Henry. They have Derrick Henry now. I think the Baltimore Ravens really show what they should have shown in the AFC Championship game. They run the ball. They establish the run. They show like, hey, this is the reason why we got the king on our side now. So I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I am going to go 29-24. Ravens over the Chiefs in a close one.
All right. The best defense is keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field, and giving Derrick Henry is a good strategy. I like that pitch. All right, Cole.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good thing, like an interesting thing to watch, is Mahomes with the new receiver room against a great secondary. I mean, the Ravens probably, if they're not the best secondary in the NFL, they're top 3. They're great. So I'm curious to see how that battle goes. Mahomes, the retooled receiver room without, though, Hollywood Brown. So
yes,
they've had a few weeks to prepare for it, which helps. You brought Juju in, but like he's only been here a week, so he might be in some limited packages. I also want to see how the Ravens game plan against Kingsley Suamataia, and also kind of how the Chiefs maybe even plan to help him out at times with the chip help. But the running back room's an interesting situation with CEH getting put on the reserve NFI list. You do have Pacheco and Carson Steele. They just signed Samaje Perine, but he's been here for like 2 practices. Right. He will dress, but I don't know how much he's going to be out there, like maybe some third downs. So yeah, I'm curious to see it. But with that being said, like, the O-line gives me concerns for you, Justin. Even with running with Derrick Henry, like the Chiefs defense, the D-line, they're all basically returning from last year. A lot of experience with Chris Jones. You guys will probably run quite a bit, but I do have some concerns about the O-line and just them gelling and meshing, even in the run. Now they've had a year in the system, most of them. I think 4 of the 5 guys and all starters, but they've had time in the system. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Chiefs winning. I feel good about Andy Reid and Spags game planning against Harbaugh, who they've had good success against, even though he's a great coach. The DC is young, 32 years old. I do have some concern there. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win probably around 27-21. That's still a 1-score game. It could go differently. Some things need to go in the Chiefs' favor. They need to be better in the red zone. They need to take care of the ball, protect it. And then you can't let the Ravens just walk all over them from a physicality standpoint on either side of the ball, or that's going to get a little dangerous. So, I mean, last thing to look at is Mahomes is 5-1. Week 1 as a starter. They lost last year. Kadarius Toney dropped in a wide open pass in the 4th quarter and then gifted the Lions a pick 6, and they still lost by 1 without Travis Kelce. So This week you have Travis Kelce. You have Chris Jones, who sat in a VIP club level seats watching the game. You've got both of them. You've got Mahomes. They're all healthy, obviously outside of Hollywood. So I do like the Chiefs to win this game, but I'm not going to sleep on the Ravens. I think they're a really good team. They were in the AFC Championship for a reason, and they're going to be a playoff contender once again this year for a reason. And it's the beginning of the year. People are trying to figure out their identities from a team perspective. Chiefs are trying to find their cornerback too. Like if I'm Lamar, I'm targeting whoever is out there that's not Trent McDuffie as a cornerback, scheming some people over there too. So yeah, I got the Chiefs winning, but it's going to be a great fight. I think this is one of the best season openers I feel like you could have.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I'm going to the game. I want to go see it. I want to go experience it. The Ravens have been perennially one of the toughest teams to play against. They've been the bully of the East. That's why Mike McCoy got that job in Seattle. Justin, you actually had me. You had me, and then Cole started talking about the Chiefs again. I think if you guys can run the ball with Derrick Henry, but the offensive line, I keep coming back to it. Replacing 3 starters, I think you guys will get it figured out. I think Patrick McCarry probably starts, and the rookie Rosengarten will eventually play this year. You don't want to go into Arrowhead as your first start as a rookie. That is a tough place to play. I have the Chiefs winning this one as well. I think it's going to be a little bit sloppier. I think with Derrick Henry coming in, the game will be slowed down. I don't think it's as high scoring. I'm going to go 23-17 Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs winning. I think it's going to be a raucous environment, but I do still think I have the Ravens finishing second in the AFC North this year to the Cleveland Browns. I got the Cleveland because the way the Cleveland Browns spend money, the Browns spend 50.
You don't like that. You don't like that.
I know. We'll have to do another conversation about this for another day. We will. I had them playing for the division, the last game of the season. The Chiefs had maybe the worst division in football besides themselves. I think they cakewalk through that one and win. Yeah. The only way the Ravens could seek this one out too, Cole, is if the Chiefs had a little bit of that Super Bowl hangover, but I think you answered that question too. So based on this conversation, I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I'm going to be out there trying the barbecue, enjoying the fans. I look forward to seeing all you fans out there. But guys, I really appreciate it because now I got a better understanding. Now when I'm locked in on this game, I'm going to be watching cornerback too. I'm going to be watching these new offensive linemen and seeing how it all shakes out. So fellas, I appreciate it. Everyone out there, even though this is a new channel, it's going to be on all my social media. So go follow these guys. They're on the front lines for the Chiefs and the Ravens, the real fans giving you the real insight weekly. So we'll see you guys at Arrowhead. Take care.